The Pittsburgh Steelers just made a huge move trading for DK Metcalf. They gave up a second round pick plus some late round pick swaps, and bam, DK is a Steeler, and on top of that, they gave him a huge extension, 5 years, $150 million. So what does this mean for the Steelers? What does it do to the team? Who should be the guy under center throwing him the ball? I'm going to get into all of that in this video. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so this was a big move for the Steelers, and I honestly didn't expect this trade to happen in this fashion, because just a few days ago, I remember hearing that the Seahawks were looking for a first and a third round pick for DK, and a second round pick is a long way away from a 1 and a 3, but I think it was the contract situation that moved the needle. The Seahawks didn't want to deal with the kind of money DK was about to get, and the Steelers did. And the Seahawks also did not have much leverage because DK did not want to be there anymore. So let's look at who the Steelers are actually getting. They're getting a guy who is only 27 years old. It feels like he's been in the league forever, but the reality is that this is a 27-year-old that is still in his prime. And he is a big-bodied receiver that can make plays, he can win jump balls, it's tough to guard him one-on-one, and he has had over 900 receiving yards for 6 years in a row. And he was just off the 1,000-yard mark by 8 yards in 24, which I'm sure drove him nuts. I feel like right now, with how the landscape of the NFL is, you need at least one big-time receiver to be able to make a deep run in the playoffs. The Chiefs really have been the only team over the last few years that have been successful without one, but they have had Kelsey, who kind of negates that. But now bringing in a guy like Metcalf, if you're the Steelers, you can look at Pickens as a wide receiver too, and that changes the whole dynamic of this offense. Now, am I worried a little bit about the personalities they have and the problems it could lead to in the locker room? A little bit. I mean, how could you not? But at the end of the day, the Steelers were desperate to bring in a wide receiver 1 and a dynamic playmaker, and they did that, and they answered a ton of questions going into 2025. I'm not saying getting DK puts the Steelers into the contender category. Obviously, they have a lot more to do in free agency and in the draft, but now the Steelers have 2 guys that on 3rd and 14 can go on a deep route and make a contested catch, and they have 2 guys that can get those huge 30 to 40 yard gains on occasion. And like I said, the Steelers still are not set on who's going to be throwing the ball behind center. Obviously, if you watch this channel, you know that I'm leaning Justin Fields, but now we have to remember the chemistry that Russ and Metcalf already have. And that makes this QB situation an even tougher decision for Mike Tomlin and the rest of the coaching staff and front office. But anyways, if I was a Steelers fan, which I'm not, I'd be super happy this move got done when it did. Chris Godwin just re-signed with the Bucks. Things are starting to happen, and I'm not saying the Steelers would ever be like them, but you don't want to be like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, where you just sit around and do nothing. I would always lean the direction of taking a risk, because honestly, if you do go out and take a risk, even if it fails, in my eyes, it's better than doing nothing every time. It's just like the quote that you miss all the shots you don't take. Also, more news going on with the team is that the Steelers placed a second-round tender on restricted free agent running back Jaylen Warren. Warren, who is lined up to take over the starting running back duties next season with Najee Harris set to hit free agency, will play on a 1-year, $5.3 million contract unless another team makes him a better offer, and in this event, the Steelers would have an opportunity to match the offer or receive a second-round pick from that team if they don't wish to match. Warren has shared backfield duties with Harris the past 3 seasons. In 48 career games, Warren has 1,674 rushing yards, 894 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. The only running back under contract for the 2025 season had been Cordero Patterson, who has only 1 year left on his deal. The Steelers are expected to draft a running back next month as well, and there are so many good potential options in the late rounds. And the Steelers historically have loved to take Buckeyes, and right now, there are 2 Ohio State backs in Henderson and Judkins that I am in love with. And switching over to the defensive side of the ball to talk about what's been going on over there, for the first time since 2020, the Steelers have some continuity at their inside linebacker spots. They've assembled a group that can mind its P's and Q's with Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen, but whether one or both of them becomes the X factor remains to be seen. While this defense is predicated on pressure up front and ball hawking in the back end, it can be elite with a playmaking linebacker to tie it all together. Queen was brought in to do just that when he signed a 3-year, $41 million deal last offseason, the largest deal they've ever handed over to an outside free agent. That could be eclipsed this upcoming week with the salary cap on the rise again in the NFL, but it won't be for another inside linebacker. The Steelers have Queen, Wilson, and Cole Holcomb back in the fold, with grizzled veteran Landon Roberts hitting free agency. Wilson, the third to last pick in the 3rd round of last year's draft, actually played 14 more snaps than Roberts as a rookie. In the quarterback-happy AFC, an inside linebacker with range and size to hold up in pass coverage bodes well for his future here. And former general manager Kevin Colbert always said that if the Steelers use a 3rd round pick on you, they're planning for you to be a starter, whether it's right away or down the line. Queen clearly is a favorite of Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, as evidenced by his single-digit jersey treatment and the praise he's garnered from both since his addition. But his first season on the other side of the Steelers-Ravens rivalry has had its ups and downs. There were lapses in coverage and missed tackles on the low end, a few splash plays, and sideline-to-sideline ability on the high end. Queen tied a career high with 2 forced fumbles, his most since his rookie season in 2020, and his career-best 7 pass breakups were the most by a Steelers inside linebacker since Ryan Shazier in 2017. But the Steelers didn't sign Queen just to be a slightly better version of Robert Spillane. He's making top 5 money at his position. Perhaps the most likely scenario for Queen is to settle into a level of play somewhere between what Shazier was turning into at the time of his career-ending spinal injury and what Devin Bush appeared to be capable of before his torn ACL 5 games into his 2nd season. Queen watched the Ravens choose Roquan Smith over him and should let that fuel him for the duration of his time in the AFC North. If Queen, who is 25, and Wilson, who is 24, are the long-term pairing, the Steelers have good size and speed in a youthful tandem, but in recent years, their rotation also has been at its best when it has a thumper to round it out. From Vince Williams to Roberts, physicality often is needed on early downs, in the red zone, and at the goal line. But all in all, I think the Steelers have established their identity defensively. It has been their bread and butter for a while now, and I only expect good play on that end to continue. And if the Steelers can at all become somewhat dominant on offense, then they can get back to being a contender. We have seen this team get off to some fast starts record-wise, but they always wear down towards the end of the season. But now they have what it takes to last, they have enough weapons, and I can't wait to see what they decide to do at quarterback. That's really all I have to say for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the DK Metcalf trade and what you want to see Pittsburgh do in the draft. If you did make it to this point in the video and enjoyed, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.